Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. Hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
It's Anne Erickson, and you're listening to Audio Inc. Radio. It is great to have you here. Hope that everything is great in your world. And what do you think of the term female fronted? I've talked about this on the show before. Basically, it's kind of a thing in the music world that term female fronted, some people don't want to use it anymore because they think at this point, these women who front bands, it shouldn't be considered different, I guess is the thought. That what does it really say about a band to say that it's female fronted? Well, it says that there's a female at the front of the band, but that's pretty much all that it says. I have a different view. I actually don't mind that term, and I personally use that term for my own band, Upon Wings. I use the term female led or female fronted because, let's face it, the metal music world has been male dominated from the beginning, and even today it's great that we have so many amazing women making heavy music. We're proving that women can be just as tough and strong and just brutal as the guys out there. But there's no denying that metal music and hard rock and heavy music is still much more male dominated. So I just think it's a descriptor. It means that there's a woman at the front of the band. Now, a few years back, I think there was an article or something like that got people wondering, should we get rid of that term female fronted? But hey, I say it's fine. Personally, I mean, I think that especially when I'm talking to my dad, for example, or someone who's not really in the music world, I think I actually had this conversation with Mixie from Stitched Up Heart, which you can check out my interview with her at YouTube, youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. That's INK, like tattoo ink. youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. And you can check out my chat with the amazing Mixie from Stitched Up Heart. But she had a similar thought that, it's just kind of a way to describe a band. I mean, I consider myself a feminist and stuff, so it's not like I see this as being some kind of a diss on women to have to pull them out and describe the band as being female fronted. But again, I think that when you look back in rock and metal music, there were definitely early trailblazers for women like Alita Ford or Joan Jett, people like that. But for the most part, rock and metal music has been so defined by being a male thing. And it wasn't until maybe 15 years ago that women really started to be the forefront in this kind of music. I mean, now we have so many great women fronting bands. And I actually have a column that I write for Consequence of Sound, their heavy consequence section. It's a monthly column called Beyond the Boys Club, and it's dedicated to the idea of talking with different women in rock and metal music and having them share their experiences. And for the most part, everyone has said that things have been good for them in the genre, that they haven't had much pushback. If anything, the only maybe pushback came from fans a little bit, just in the beginning at least, some fans not wanting women in the genre. But for the most part, they say they've been embraced, and that's great. I mean, I've talked with Amy Lee from Evanescence, Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm, Maria Brink from In This Moment, and many, many more. So they have all been so cool, and they all are just very grateful for the fact that women now do have a bigger role in rock and metal music, because there was a time when if you were in a band and you were a female vocalist, radio would not touch you. especially if there was one other track on the radio at that time that had a female vocalist. They were like, sorry, we already have our one female artist that we're playing and we can't have anyone else right now. But thankfully, really, you, the listener, it's because of you, I believe, that women have been able to thrive in rock and metal music, because you've been saying that we want to hear more women in this genre, and that has forced radio to actually play more women and to give you what you want to hear, if that makes any sense. So I do think that it's kind of that demand thing, that because of the demand for female-led music, it's gotten more popular, and radio and all these commercial things, they've had to give into that, which is great. I kind of feel like I'm in this little club with being in Upon Wings and being the lead singer of a rock band or a metal band, but where we're just kind of all, without even knowing each other, when I do talk to other women in rock and metal bands, even if we don't know each other, we just have a similar bond right away, and it's really cool. But I have to say that I love fronting a really heavy band, and I am eternally grateful for the artists that really kind of forged the path for it to be more, I don't know if acceptable is the word, but for it to be a possibility. I mean, there was a time when you almost felt like it wasn't a possibility for women to do this kind of music. And I'm grateful very much to those trailblazers and to you for wanting to hear music fronted by women. And the reason I'm talking about all of this stuff is because I have a great guest on the podcast, Simone from Epica. Epica is one of the greatest bands in this genre of symphonic metal, and I'm very honored to have Simone on the show because she, of course, is the face and the voice of Epica and just a huge part of the band. And we're going to talk about the whole women in metal thing. She actually doesn't like that term female fronted, and she'll explain why, and I think it makes sense. But Epica, like many bands, they were slated to release their latest record last year, and it had been years between records, which the biggest gap for them, Omega is that new record, and they held it because of COVID and all that stuff. But it's a great album. I got an advanced copy and it sounds amazing. I mean, it's a little bit more spontaneous sounding, I would say, than their past stuff, but I love it. I think it sounds really wonderful, and I really like that they kind of added that spontaneous vibe. But Omega, we're going to talk all about that new album and kind of her experience in the music world and their journey, because Epica is a band that has been around for years, for decades actually, which is so crazy to think about. And they're one of the greatest in that symphonic metal category. I look up to them. I give them huge props for everything that they have accomplished, and very excited to have this great guest, Simone from Epica, on the show. It's Anne Erickson, and hey, don't be shy. Get in touch with me on social media if you have an idea for a guest or a topic, or just want to say hello. I'm a friendly person. Get in touch with me. You can email me and email this show direct, Anne@audioinkradio.com. You can also just get in touch on Facebook. Head to the site itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com to link up on my personal Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram at Erickson Anne, and let's see how else. Oh, you can also like the publication, check out the publication, audioinkradio.com, facebook.com/audioinkradio, twitter.com/audioinkradio. And before I get into the main part of the show, this great talk with Simone from Epica, I want to remind you that if you don't subscribe to the podcast yet, what are you waiting for? I'm a bit mad at you, but you know what? I will let it slide if you go ahead and do it right now. I'm going to wait while you do it. Just search Anne Erickson or search Audio Inc. Radio wherever you rock out to podcast. Hit subscribe, and I definitely appreciate all of the great support. We've been charting really well on both iTunes and Spotify in the music category, which is very exciting, and it's thanks to you. So thank you very much for listening and for rocking out to the podcast. All right, without further ado, let's get into the main attraction, Simone from Epica.
I'm Simone from Epica, and you're listening to Audio Inc. Radio with Anne Erickson.
Well, Simone, it's great to talk with you today. How are you doing, and what are things like where you are right now?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we're having some homeschooling here. So not a lot of time to work. And, of course, no live shows at the moment. But other than that, we're healthy. And the silver lining is that we get to spend time together as family.
Right. So how is the homeschooling going? That's got to be kind of tough.
It's actually getting better now. I guess we're getting a system going now. And but the biggest problem is, of course, that our son is missing his friends, So I guess the homework and everything is going okay, but he just needs to see his peers and play with kids his age and not just mommy and daddy all the time.
Well, hopefully soon, fingers crossed. But it's so exciting that you have your new record out, Omega, on the way. So tell me about the journey of getting the record out, because it was actually supposed to be out last year, right?
Yes. Originally, it was set to be released in September, and we had a European tour scheduled in October. And when we were recording the album, everything went well up until I'm just going to light some candles. make the best out of an evening shift here at home. My husband's playing piano in the background. You might hear that, but yeah. But the recording was everything went smooth up until we were finished with the choir and orchestra. And the orchestra was recorded in Prague and the choir in the Netherlands. And then middle of March was supposed to be vocal recordings. And Mark lives in Sicily and I live in Germany. And the studio where we normally record is in the Netherlands. So Mark had to record in Sicily at home, and I recorded my vocals here in Germany. So, but overall, everything went really smooth. I guess we had luck. We were lucky that it wasn't scheduled later, because then it would have been difficult.
And it's actually been 5 years between records for you guys, which is a minute. And it looks like the longest break you guys have taken. So did it feel kind of weird to take that break?
It was a conscious choice to take a little break after we finished the touring for the Holographic Principle, because we were just exhausted. We always kept on going, and we had so much... we had a hectic schedule every 2 years to write and record a new album and be on tour at the same time, almost, it felt like. But when we had our little touring break, we were writing our biography, the Essence of Epica, and we also remixed our album Design Universe, because it was 10 years old, and then we also recorded some acoustic tracks for that. Besides that, we also did the Attack on Titan EP, we released the Solar System EP, but not a full-length album. And it wasn't until October, November last year that we all got together and started writing Omega as a band, together in the same place. We made sure we had time in our calendars reserved just for that, so no shows, no other distractions. And it was nice, and it was very fruitful. And our producer Joost was there as well. And now originally it would have been released last year, but everything got postponed a little. Everything is put on pause at the moment.
Right, I think that's true for everyone. Pretty much everyone's life has been on hold for about a year.
Yes, and it's still going to take a while.
So I've heard the whole record, and I love it. It's so epic and has great melodies and textures and stuff. So how would you say writing and recording this album was different from what you've done in the past with Epica?
Well, we wanted to change a couple of things. For instance, have it a little bit more organic sound. So We used a full orchestra. We also recorded a lot of ethnical, how do you say it? Not ethical, ethnical, ethnic, you say in German, like instruments in India, like the sitar, a lot of other exotic flutes, and we had a children choir. So we added a lot of real elements to make the sound more organic, songwriting as well. Compared to the holography principle, Omega is more transparent. It has more dynamic. It's more mature, I guess, more profound. And yeah, the mixing is also slightly different because our old sound or the holographic principle was very compressed. And we wanted to change that a little bit, have, like I said before, more transparency. So Joost, our producer, also mixed our album. He knew the songs, from inside and out. So that was a conscious choice. And another thing is that we wanted to start writing vocal lines earlier in the writing process to make sure that the vocals had enough room to flourish, so to speak, or to shine. And in the past, we would write demo tracks, and the songs would be basically finished. And then at the end, we would have to put vocal lines on top of already like a lot of melodies. And this time, we paid more attention to that.
Wow. Is there one track off the new record that you just cannot wait to perform live whenever concerts are finally back?
Yeah, that would be Code of Life. That's one of my favorites of the whole album. I think I loved the song already from the beginning when it was still a demo track and the song didn't have a proper ending nor vocal lines. I just love the drive of the song, and I can sense it's going to be a great live song.
Awesome. Cannot wait to see you guys perform it. Hopefully you make it here to the U.S. at some point. I have no idea when, but hopefully.
Yes, we are keeping our fingers crossed. Yeah, we're all very eager to go back on stage. I mean, we had the sabbatical, and then when we were ready to go back on stage, the world broke down.
So you're one of the most high-profile and successful women in metal music. I'm wondering, how has the metal world changed in terms of its acceptance of women in metal from when you started out in Epica to today?
I guess the women in the scene are more prominent, and I guess also maybe more respected or accepted for the fact that we have talent and can work hard and can succeed, I guess. I guess the women are still the minority in the whole metal scene, but it's developing in the right direction, I would say. And back in the day, we had the term female-fronted metal, and that is nowhere near accurate at the moment because it does not describe the sound of the band other than there's a female singer in the band. And I myself am lucky enough to not have had any really big negative experiences to talk about. And I'm one of the guys, that's how I always felt, I guess, with the exception of some female things. And I feel well being surrounded by a lot of guys. I never felt misunderstood or disrespected. So
yeah, that's great. I was wondering, did you ever feel like you were treated differently from the male artist in the business, either by fans or colleagues?
I don't know. Maybe it's not necessarily something about inequality, but more about the fact that women have some kind of power over guys. So I would see it more as an advantage.
They get a bit nervous around us, right?
Yeah, I guess so. They sense that we can do magic.
How much pressure do you think there is on women in not just metal, but music in general, to look a certain way to appeal to people?
Well, I guess in a certain way, the appearance is important, not just for the women, but also for the guys. I mean, don't we all want to look our best? Don't we put a lot of effort in making the live show visually appealing? But there is, of course, more pressure on the women to always look good and be in the best shape. And people create this image of you that you're perfect and you're not, and it's sometimes tedious to keep up that appearance. Or with guys, it's easier for them. They can just roll out of bed and look like crap and nobody gives a shit, and if you have a bad day or a huge zit, everybody is pointing at it. But yeah, that's how it's always been, and that's just a thing you gotta kind of you can either fight, and I know some of my female colleagues, I respect them enormously. They posted photos without any makeup on, and I think that is a great thing to do, to just show everybody that we are normal as well. I post makeup videos and people see me without makeup as well, and I guess I don't mind as much as I did in the past. It comes with age, I guess, that you start to feel more comfortable, and it's a little bit a shame that when you're in your younger years, when your skin and everything is nice and tight, you are actually the most insecure, and you don't value or acknowledge that you're young and that it has a lot of advantages and that it's a beautiful thing to be young. But yeah, that insecurity, I guess, gets to all of us.
I think that's a great point. I do think as time goes on, people just are more confident in themselves, and life's too short, But you're right that I think people look at someone like you and they look at other women in bands and they kind of worship you guys, because you always look so beautiful and so perfect. And it's great to just show that real side of you and like post a photo without makeup or whatnot.
Yeah, I guess you have to be some kind of example, but it's up to everybody to post whatever they feel confident or comfortable with.
Well, I cannot wait for live music to be back, and I'm sure that you feel the same way. So I'm wondering, when concerts are back, do you think it'll ever be like it used to be with people moshing and hugging and being tight together, or do you think it will be just forever different?
I think it will probably go back to how it was, but it's going to take longer to get back to that than we all first anticipated. I think it's definitely more difficult to go back to that, but it will happen one day.
What's the status of stuff over there? We're starting to get vaccines here in America, and people are saying that's kind of what it will take to get live music back. But where are you guys at with the whole vaccine thing and that sort of thing?
Well, I live in Germany, and here they started vaccinating. Can you say it like that?
Yeah. Yep.
A couple weeks ago, and but it's hard to keep up, I guess, with the production of the vaccine. So I'd like to say I'm very optimistic but realistic. So the summer festivals that are currently scheduled are like one by one, they're postponing again the festivals, and I have a little bit of feeling that we won't have any summer festivals, that it's too early, it's too soon.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder about that too. We had all hoped that maybe the big tours could happen this summer, but it seems like maybe it'll take longer to get people, vaccinated and get this thing behind us.
Yes.
What has been the anchor to get you through the whole COVID-19 era, I guess you could say?
Red wine.
That's a good one.
I don't know. It's being with my family, I guess, and acknowledging how special it is that normally I'm not home that much as I am now. So I try to treasure it and try to see it as a special time. But of course, there's ups and downs. Some days are great, and some days are just like, just get it over with, because everybody is a little bit on edge. And my husband's also a musician, but also a music teacher. And the thing is, now with us having a new record out, supposed to go on tour, and everything being canceled and postponed sometimes makes you a little bit unmotivated. But at the same time, I'm happy that we have this new CD and it's going to be released soon, and that people are hopefully finding a little bit of hope and light in the music, and that they can feel like inspired and that it lifts their spirits up, because I think music is such a therapeutic tool for so many of us. And I also see Epica a little bit as therapy, so I love to listen to the songs as well. We all started rehearsing the songs, so by the time we can go on stage, we got the songs in our system, and it's keeping our fingers crossed.
Do you think with Omega there are any benefits to actually putting the new music out when there isn't touring and when this whole thing is happening?
No, it's rather a disadvantage, I think. And, we, of course, as a band, we discussed it last year. Some of us wanted to release it already last year, and some said, no, we have to wait because we have to attach the tour to it. And then we set a new date, and then the tour was postponed again. Mm-hmm. So there are many of my colleagues that have, I mean, not my bandmates, but some other bands that have released their music last year already and could have waited as well. It feels a little bit as if you're throwing it into the universe and you gotta wait until you get something back from it. But like I said, it's a dark time we live in now, and music is a great tool. It's it's like the invisible friend, and I think a lot of people will find many great things in the new music in Omega. And we already released 3 singles. They were welcomed positively by the fans, and of course the press. The majority has listened to the whole album, and the feedback we're getting is amazing. So that's still something you're going to get back, just not that wonderful exchange of energy when you're on the stage and when the songs come to life. That's something we have to just wait.
What do you hope fans take away overall from Omega?
It's a journey, I guess. From beginning to the end of the album. It's a very spiritual album, so it will probably make many of them think, about their lives, but also maybe have some parts that they recognize themselves with. I mean, the whole album is a little bit like a spiritual journey where we are all searching for the meaning of life, and where we're all digging deep within ourselves to navigate through our own inner labyrinth and hopefully reach the exit and be enlightened at the end. And I think the album totally exudes that kind of spiritual energy, and that it hopefully will give a lot of peace to a lot of fans, and also have them or give them the possibility to process, or to, in Dutch we say, like, kick off some steam, like what we do at live shows when you just go crazy. And there are so many beautiful peaceful moments on the CD as well. We have our ballad Rivers, which is an absolute tearjerker. But then we have like full bombastic Epica songs where you can, jump to and bang your head to. So I think the album has a lot to offer, and that it's one of our best work.
Well, Simone, it's been great chatting with you. Is there anything else you want to share?
Maybe a little info that we also have a biography out, and I know a lot of people have a lot of free time nowadays. So our biography is called The Essence of Epica, and it is available for purchase on a separate website, so not our main website. It's on epicabook.com. So if anybody has some extra time to spare and want to know more details and funny anecdotes about Epica, I can totally recommend getting a book.
Awesome. That's a great idea, because people are home right now, and I think it's a good time for people to find stuff to read. So, well, thank you again, and the new record is great. Congratulations, and hopefully you'll be over here sometime soon doing a show.
Yes, I hope so too.
Simone from Epica, thank you for being an amazing guest on my show. It was really cool to talk with her about her experience being a woman in the metal world, and sounds kind of like my other conversations with other women in rock and metal music for the most part. Thankfully, it's been a really good experience with nothing too crazy happening, but it is different being a woman in any field that is mostly men, if that makes sense. I mean, even just being a radio person in rock music, it's different. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, sometimes when I show up at an event that I'm supposed to be the DJ, supposed to host a remote or an event or whatnot, they say, all right, where's the host? Where's the DJ? Well, it's me. Sometimes for some reason in the rock world, they assume it's going to be a guy. But anyway, really cool to talk with Simone from Epica. Their new record, Omega, definitely check it out. I very much enjoy it. And if you like symphonic metal music, I think that you will really love what they put together. It's Anne Erickson, and you are listening to Audio Inc. Radio. Very happy to be rocking with you, and we're going to hang out all year. I'm going to stay with you the entire year, talking about all these different things happening in the music world, because it's a very fluid situation. Let's face it, last year was so crazy and different, and probably this year is going to be the same. Who knows what the future holds, but what I do know is that I want to go through it with you. We're going to go through it together right here on the show. And hey, if you are also a visual person and want to check out my YouTube interviews, head to youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. I just have a new one up there with Steve Hackett from Genesis. How cool is that? He was really awesome. Talked about his latest solo record, Under a Mediterranean Sky. You'll find that one on YouTube. Other recent video interviews where it's really cool to talk with all these different musicians on Zoom. That's pretty much how I do most of my video interviews right now. But Seven Dust drummer Morgan Rose, Elise from Amaranth, Mixie from Stitched Up Heart, Devin Townsend, bunch of these different video interviews that I think and hope that you would enjoy. So check that out. And just a reminder that if you are not subscribed to the podcast yet, I hope that you do it, because I hope that you like and enjoy the podcast as much as I enjoy doing the show. Just search Anne Erickson or search Audio Inc. Radio wherever you rock out to podcast. Hit that subscribe button and you'll instantly be notified of the latest show, the latest episode that goes up. Usually you'll get one full show a week. That's kind of usually how it rolls. And if you dig what you hear, which I hope that you do, please leave a 5-star review on Apple. I definitely appreciate the amazing support. Don't be shy. Get in touch with me online if you have an idea for a guest or just want to say hi, just want to tell me that you enjoy the show or just want to talk about music. Hit me up on email, ann@audioinkradio.com. Facebook you can find at the site itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com to link up on my personal Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram at Erickson Anne, so you can see what I look like, which you probably know if you see the little art on the podcast. But hang out with me online. And one last thing, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com. If you like Epica, I think you'll actually like us, because I think we're kind of that similar genre. They're definitely more epic sounding, but we're in that same kind of genre. So uponwings.com. I've got some amazing guests on the way for the show that I am so excited about. Just great stuff on the way for you. So hang out right here with me, Anne Erickson, on the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.